I want to tell you about Intellectuals Unite because I want you to be part of Intellectuals Unite. You're all the people who work with me, but I formed Intellectuals Unite without you. As you know, I have a strategy to save the world, and that strategy is present in a pack of playing cards. I did, and you know about this, I've done so many graphics in my time that I decided to put them on a pack of playing cards. When I looked at it, I thought, here's the total strategy to save the world. Far as I know, it seems I'm the only person who has a proper strategy with all the detail and a beginning and a middle and an end. The beginning is the problem. What is the problem? I talked about that yesterday at the Fashion Awards, the British Fashion Awards. And if you want to know that, and you don't know it already, you better look up the speech that I gave then, because I'm not doing it now. Okay, but you can find out about it on our website anyway, so please have a look. And it started with one card, and it happened to be the Joker of Diamonds. The playing cards, the Joker is about money. The other's about different things, clubs for war, okay. And so I have a plan to save the world. I can't do it on my own, and I need help, but I've got the plan, okay. Now, and so what I've done is I've invited friends and people I've met over time to belong to our club, Intellectuals Unite. What is an intellectual? An intellectual is somebody who wants to make the world a better place, and they read books. If you read books, then what you do, you can't help but want to make the world a better place, because every time you read a book, you're comparing somebody's vision of the world, it could be 1,000 years ago or whenever, with the world we have today, and it makes you critical of the world you have today. For good or bad, you say, oh, it's so much better now. I wouldn't like to have lived then at the time of the Black Death, you know, or whatever. But you might think, no, they had a more human existence then. You start to compare things. So reading books is really incredible. It's like you start to make a map of your life, of the world you live in. And the more you, and I have, therefore, Intellectuals Unite, we are also a book club. And so we want you to be part of this book club. Swap the books, and I'm giving you very easy books to read. That's because the more you read, then the more you will understand the depth and philosophy of more difficult books to read. It doesn't matter, you just have to start somewhere. That every book is important. The books I'm recommending people to read are classics. I don't recommend recent books because I think that time has been the test of what is a great book, and that you get a much more clear perspective and comparison with the world you live here, more of a critical approach. It's different, you know. But that doesn't mean to say that you shouldn't read modern books as well. I just think it's more important to start doing that. And I'm assuming that today a lot of people don't read. I'm a reader all my life. I want to tell you, that's why I'm a great fashion designer, because I get all my ideas from art. I'm an art lover, and every painting or sculpture or film or whatever is a vision of the world that somebody did. And it's the same with a book. You know, they lived at a certain point of time, they saw the world in this way. And And if you look at the playing cards, it explains all of this on the playing cards. The most important playing cards are the 4 jokers. I did 4 jokers because one for each suite. Like I said, diamonds for money, clubs for war, spades for the motherfuckers that fuck the world, and you know, like Shell and Monsanto. It's all in the playing cards. And hearts for peace, and hopefully we can save ourselves. Everything good. Now then, and so I'm not going to talk about the cards much anymore, but I want you to follow me, because this is what I mean by help. You've got to follow me. And then we will build a whole loads of people who start to understand what's going on in this world, like get a life. What is my life? Well, this is how you do it. You map it out. You read books and you follow me. And you start to think, oh, I'm living a great life. In fact, I've lived 5 lives already. Each book was a life. I put myself in other people's shoes. I think reading is the most concentrated form of experience it's possible to have. And so it makes you clever. And it makes you so you're not manipulated and subject to propaganda. You can think for yourself. You've got your own ideas. Okay? Right, now then, so I want to introduce you to Intellectuals Unite, because I can't, as I said, I can't save the world on my own, but I can save it with about 50 people starting. We're going to have regular meetings. I'm going to talk to them like a kind of teacher all the time, telling them all stuff they wouldn't find anybody else could tell them. But the thing is, I can't talk to 500. I don't want to extend it anymore. They've got to extend it. You have got to be like slightly one removed, but you're close to me because you're in my vicinity all the time. You work with me. But you're going to have to do it somehow. They're going to have to build the movement. You're going to have to follow them as well as me, okay? Because we're going to film it all. And so we're going to film our meetings, and you'll be able to follow us and be part of it. And you'll be able to read the books as well. And I just say to you that in the probably just before Christmas we might try to do it. We will have some books which we will give to you free, and you just have to put your name down and say, yes, I want to be part of Intellectuals Unite. I'm going to follow you, Vivienne, and put my name down for a book. And then you can swap it with the people who are in Intellectuals Unite anyway, you know, because I've already given them some books. Just to start it going. In the end, they'll have to go to the library and get their own books, or God knows what. But yeah, okay. Right, now then, so we won't talk about the books anymore. What I want to do is introduce 1 or 2 of them who are here tonight. And so, yeah, so I'm going to start off with James Emmett. Now, James is great. Come here, James, okay. And I know James because I've had a website for quite some time. It's called Climate Revolution. And if you go to Climate Revolution, it's part of Vivienne Westwood website. But you can look up playing cards, you can look up anything on this line. You know, I don't even type. I don't have a telephone. I've never taken a photograph in my life. I'm just an old-fashioned person, and that's why I know an awful lot more than you're ever going to know, because I've been reading all my life, and I've not been born in the age of non-stop distraction, where I don't do anything except just drown in whatever you're doing. You know, people are all taking photographs of stuff. They're just drowning in photographs. They don't have any information or any get a life, you know. I mean, I think I've had a great life up till now, or lives. Okay, now then, so James, he came and he's been communicating with me on my website. Now then, James, you please tell everybody who you are.
Hello everybody, my name is James and I've known Vivienne, like she said, for about 7 or 8 years, back when it was active resistance. So what I do, I'm a nurse, I'm a mental health nurse, big supporter of the NHS, and I think that a lot of what Vivienne talks about, everything is connected. I think you can look at aspects of public services like the NHS and get a real picture of what the rest of the world is like. Vivienne spoke about non-stop distraction, which is on the t-shirt. Non-stop distraction, organised lying, which I think is very, very evident in the NHS. We see a lot of it in the media. People talk about how rubbish the NHS is, about how long waiting times are. And it's a very concerted effort to make us all lose faith in the health service that each and every one of us that was born in the UK has benefited from. We started with the NHS and we will end with the NHS. So that's where I'm from professionally. Big supporter of social justice. I think that, like Vivienne said, everything is connected. And if we all talk to each other, everybody's got their own separate experience, separate specialism, and a lot of specialist knowledge. And I think that if we can start to build Intellectuals Unite and bring other people in with their individual bits of knowledge and their specialisms, we can actually save the world.
I want to ask James a question. I have asked James to be part of this because I've known him a long time. He's very passionate and he's a real activist. He really works very hard to try to save the NHS. The reason that I'm really keen to have James in Intellectuals Unite is because, as I said, I can't save the world. I can't just go online and just build this thing. I can start to do it, and I'm just hoping that James has got reach on there, that he can communicate, you know, like it's like a wave, you know, he's like the second wave. He can communicate, he can say, read this book everybody, or he can say, you know, we've got a big march coming on, and it's really, really important. It's a matter of life and death, and I want you, all my followers, to come on it. And so I don't know, James, whether you've got personal followers too much or not, but I want to know, this is really important, can you tap into the people who support the national health and tell them it's really important, if you want to support the national health, that you come and support this strategy to save the world? And can you tap into them and tell them all your information? This is what I want to know. Yeah.
I think that, again, everything is connected. People that care about the NHS and work in the NHS recognise that things like Brexit will have a direct effect on our health. They recognise that as climate change gets worse, our health is going to be affected. Particularly for nurses, I don't know if many of you remember in the news about the government cancelling the NHS bursary for student nurses, which is something that Vivienne campaigned for as well, supporting the junior doctors. All of these people understand that the NHS is a very small part of a much larger picture. We have a lot of support throughout the UK, but lots of people don't always vocalise it. They don't always go out and actually make a stand. If you ask most people, they support the NHS, but not necessarily all of those would go on a march. And I think that what our job to do is to remind people, actually, we need boots on the ground. We need people to be going out and showing how much they care about it. Speaking about support networks, the health service is one of the most heavily unionised professions and areas in the entire country. Particularly as nurses, we have to be a member of a union to practice. And the Royal College of Nursing in particular is very aware of the effect that Brexit is going to have on the NHS, but also the effect that it's going to have on the environment and health and finance and all those other things. So, see, even the traffic agrees with me. So yeah, we have a lot of support out there, but I think people need to be reminded of the links that exist.
Okay, so you're good next time. When we really need help, massive demonstration, whatever it is, You've got loads of people that are already people you're building, you can call upon them because they know what we're talking about and what we need, yeah. And I just want to mention that one of my other friends in the NHS, who James also works with, she's heading it, Lauren, and she said, can you do a T-shirt for us? And she said, use your slogan that you had before, too fast to live, too young to die, NHS. Brilliant, I did it for them, you know. Okay, so we help each other. So what I'm saying is that I'm actually working on the playing cards all the time. And therefore, maybe I should just actually ask my son Joe to come forward, because I've been working with him on fracking. And that's one of the playing cards. And we're already we're building it. We're just building the whole movement. We're actually working on the playing cards already. Okay, so Joe, are you around?
Yeah, here.
Oh, there, thanks.
Hi. So yeah, as Vivienne said, you know, one of her playing cards is based around this idea of fracking and trying to stop it in the UK. I have been working on it non-stop really for the last 6 years. I think it's really important when you decide to try and do something about an issue that you stick with it and try to say, well, maybe I can't do everything, but I can do one thing, and to focus on that. And I'd just like to say that when we started 6 years ago, we started from the point of view of saying there's just not been any public debate about this issue. What we had was a kind of gold rush mentality. We're all going to be oil millionaires. We've found gas. You know, everything's going to be fine. The city of London was going mad. We're all going to invest in this thing, and it's this huge kind of fossil fuel bubble that David Cameron and his cronies got very excited about. And at that time, the public opinion in terms of what they thought about fracking, it was split pretty much evenly. You had about 50% of the country that didn't know what it was. Some people thought it had something to do with computers. Some people thought it was something to do with sort of, some kind of violent act when you got a bit drunk. The other 50% of people were split pretty evenly, 25% for fracking, thinking it was a great idea, and 25% against. And today, 6 years later, it's nearly 80% of the people are firmly against fracking. So, you know, it takes time, but you can have a really important effect. And I think that we're really on the winning streak of that now. I think we will win. I'm determined that we will. The government, by the way, during all of this has sort of just ignored all the evidence, all the scientific evidence, run roughshod over it, tried to override local democracy. And I think it's, for me, something that has opened my eyes over the last 6 years just about how the machinations of government and policy work behind the scenes, things that I had no idea about. And so it's really opened my eyes to so much more than fracking. Anyway, I think it's really interesting to see what kind of shift has happened in public opinion. And I think the people that are now supporting fracking are really seen now as people that are of a kind of an older time, something that doesn't really exist anymore, something that has no place in our future, if we're to have a future. So yeah, that's all I had to say.
Yeah, I want to say that I've been working with Joe. He got me on the tank together with Richard Hillgrove. Richard's not here, but he's a good guy, Richard. He's got good ideas. Anyway, and when we started, we were in a van, and we were in kind of like coffin-sized shelves, sleeping in this van, going around like a rock tour. And there I was with Joe and everything. I loved Swansea. Swansea's so beautiful. But anyway, and we were giving talks in the public, you know, town halls and stuff. And also, Joe took me to the fracking camps as well, because it's absolutely wonderful. These people who live in these villages, and then they spend half their lives camped out in the fields, supporting, you know, each other to stop the government from doing stuff, chaining themselves to lorries and all kinds of things. It's quite incredible. And it's because of this that we've had such a swing in public opinion, because as Joe says, you know, it's against democracy of local government. The government just overrides them, and the people in the villages know that they're all in favour of not having this poison in the thing. It's absolutely ridiculous what's happening. It's so poisonous, fracking. Nobody knows the facts of it except Joe knows it and a few other people. But I want to just make one last point, which is that the problem of trying to get a movement to change the world, to implement a strategy where we actually have to get rid of the terrible financial system, which is the cause of everything, and replace it with a system which is called the one world economy. And that's why I was looking for Fred, because he knows what he's been campaigning for this for decades. Oh, he's there, is he? Yeah, so Fred, so maybe I just introduce you, and I don't know if you want to say anything, but really quickly. But what I'm saying is that in order to, it's one thing to have a strategy, it's another thing to actually implement it and get the government to listen to public opinion. This is what I'm saying, and we're talking about 80% of the people in the country now against fracking, the government completely overruling it, giving licenses to their mates to do it for no reason that's in the interest of the public whatsoever. And so what do we have to do? We have to keep on building and building and putting the pressure, and they will crack. And if they crack on one thing, then we can get them to crack then they've suffered a defeat, and they will continue to crack. I know that Macron just cracked, but that was for the wrong reasons, that he had a good idea that everybody didn't want, because he was a victim of the belief in the rotten financial system, and anyway, everybody's doing everything wrong. Let's just put it that way for the moment. You know, all the people in power are causing climate change. They're doing everything wrong. Instead of trying, he thought he could help to do something about climate change, but instead of which it's like, bring it on, you do it all wrong. But we've got to get them to crack, and then they will crack for other things as well. That's why I was very interested when I said the other day at the Intellectuals Unite meeting, if we can get Julian Assange out of that embassy, that means the government will crack, because they have been moving the goalposts all the time for what I call misrule of law, just ignoring the legal situation, telling lies all the time, moving the goalposts. And I said, if we can get him out of there, it'll be as important as we will be able to save the world, because it's a demonstration of people power if we can get him out. You know, so that's what I'm talking about. Fred, just try to be a little quick, but listen, let me just tell you, because Fred is so knowledgeable that I have to ask him to be quick. Yeah, but you know, he's quite absolutely amazing. He came to the first Intellectuals Unite meeting. He's what I would call my lion. You know, I'm so proud of knowing this man who's got the solution to how to save the world. And he's part of Intellectuals Unite. And I've got John Sovan here from Greenpeace, and he's part of Intellectuals Unite. And he and Fred have got to talk to me and my brother, because my brother is not so sure that his solution will work, and it will work, and Fred's got to explain it, but he can't explain it now because we haven't got time. But please introduce yourself, Fred, and just say hello. Thank you. And any one thing you want to say.
Vivienne is the one who can drag the people in to listen. That's why she is so vital. But she's right. Nothing is going to change in our world unless we all get behind a particular reform in the financial system. And what's unique about Vivienne is that she's come to understand what that is. And it's so unpopular. And it'll be unpopular with many of you, either because you want to buy homes and get the capital gains that arise from that, or you own homes and you won't want to lose the capital gains. And that's the political challenge. The only way to change the system is to make people responsible. And the only way they can be responsible is if they acknowledge that they've got to pay for what they receive. Now, we exploit nature by taking without paying for it. And that's the explanation for why we've got pollution, climate change. The industrialists didn't pay for the costs of dumping waste into the heavens. It's why we have all these fish species dying, because we didn't pay to use the oceans for dumping plastics. And it's happening today with, guess what, these. We allowed a few digital companies to use the radio spectrum for nothing. They captured the value of that spectrum in their share prices. That's why they're worth $1 trillion each. Those trillions of dollars ought to be coming into the public purse, but because governments have failed to capture the rental value of the natural resource that makes these things work at all, the few people are capitalizing them into their share prices and being mega rich. The result is the pollution of our minds. We think that this is free, but it isn't. All the data that is being captured about our lives is being used for advertising and being capitalized into the share prices of Google and Amazon and so on. And we end up paying the price with being polluted in our minds, in the way that we polluted the oceans, in the way we polluted the skies. We need to change the financial system through government. And it's the single most difficult thing to do. Twice in this last century, the British Parliament actually did pass a law, but twice that law was scrubbed. They will not allow it to happen. And if Vivienne has one real challenge, that's it. To persuade the politicians that unless they change the way they finance our public services, which means taking taxes off your earned incomes, there's a reciprocal here, pay for what you receive from nature, but don't be taxed on your earned income that you're creating by creating value for other people. It's a big issue which Vivienne has come to understand, and with her capacity to pull in the crowds, I'm optimistic that maybe for the first time in 100 years we might get some action. Thank you, Vivienne.
But the thing is that we heard the cracks of the ice. You know, the ice was collapsing, and that is the reality. Our civilization is collapsing, because if the natural environment goes, we go. As Fred said, we cannot exist without the natural environment. And I think even as James said, our mental health is also really closely connected with the natural environment. We need nature, we need to connect to nature, we need to understand nature, we need to commune with nature if we are to survive as a civilization. And that's why I think what Vivienne is saying and doing is really important. So thank you, Vivienne, for everything that you're doing.
Talking to you are all members of Intellectuals Unite, and I hope that when the time comes that we need massive demonstrations and all kinds of things for particular playing cards that will save us, for example, we would need a playing. It would be great to have demonstration about we need rewilding, because it's the one thing that will give us time and it will save us while we sort everything else out. I mean, we probably need to be working towards that already, but we're not sure because we're building everything as we go along, because everything's connected, as we said. And I hope that John will be able to just say, yes, all the people who support Greenpeace, get on that march and you know, go. That's what I want him to be able to do as well. But isn't it brilliant that you've got such clear-headed people here instead of the waffle and the rubbish that we hear all the time? Anyway, so that's what I want to thank. So thank you, John, very much for working together. And you know, it's all part of climate revolution, and we always wanted to work with all the NGOs, have the same voice. And like I said, James, you know, from the National Health, that's an NGO, preserving the land, and we all want to speak with the same voice and build big movement to make everything crack, you know, and whatever. So I've just got Daniel as probably the last person I've got here, just because we have to get this dancing done. But anyway, here's Daniel, and yeah, Daniel can introduce himself and tell you what he's doing. He's wonderful.
So a lot of you know me from walking around in funny outfits and whatever, and sometimes you're wondering what I'm doing. But it's really been a great communication tool over the years. And I first met Vivienne a long time ago, and Joe, I've known Joe for a long time, and I've been working with Joe on his anti-fracking things, amongst other things. And what I realised is, you walk around town and you meet all these amazing people, and I can see a lot of you in the room. You know certain influential people, and you can. So when Vivienne posts something about her playing cards or the next protest that she is going on, you guys can invite a few hundred friends, a few thousand friends if you like, and try and, you know, it's social media. I know it's all the waffle and whatever, but it's really important, and it gets the word out. And you guys work for one of the greatest designers, but activists that have ever lived, and she was one of the last people that changed the world with punk. And then there was the internet, and climate change is, you know, that's going to be the next thing if we don't start to change our ways. And I know that I'm just you can just call me a fashion person or whatever, but I've been able to network and strategically network and been able to change the way things go. And I consider myself a stealth activist. So I'm not always, you know, I might put some things out there, but I'm able to change things with connections, and I'm sure you all have connections as well. And if you think you can help Vivienne out in any way, especially when it comes to selling her playing cards, which she needs 100 million for, it's not that much. I sat next to an art dealer the other day, and he was like, "Oh, that's a basket." You know, that's so. Between you, hopefully, maybe some of you know someone in the art world that can help. If not, we all have extended networks, and I'm saying use them if you can. And that's all I want to really say.
What Daniel's talking about here is that he really knows a lot of people. It's incredible who he doesn't know. I wouldn't know who that person is. And so the playing cards, I'm going to do an art exhibition in 3 years' time. Meanwhile, as I said, I'm working on it with the fracking and all kinds, Julian Assange, different things. We're working on it. But I'm also going to interpret the playing cards as artworks, installations, stuff in frames, all kinds of stuff. It would be a very, very good thing I want to do. But the thing is that the main part of it is that I will raise £100 million. And why do I want just only £100 million? He's going to help me because he knows a lot of people. That's what I'm saying, and he can get the word out, like he says, as to what I'm doing. He's a networker. That's who he is. He's very well known as one. He knows everybody. Right. So that's probably what I'm talking about with regard. Oh, why do I want only 100 million? Okay, because I support Cool Earth, and they have a budget to save the world for 100 million, and they've already raised about 30 million already. They work with the local tribes. I'm not going to talk about them anymore. You probably know about them because I've been doing this for some time. But their budget, 100 million, I thought, is that it? 100 million to save the whole equatorial forest? And what about all these trillions of pounds and all this? You know, the enormity of saving the rainforest can be accomplished by 100 million pounds because it's very hands-on. I'm not going to explain, but it can. And that's why I chose 100 million, because I would also give to other NGOs and charities this money that I raise, because the Cool Earth don't need it all at once. And so I can give it in instalments to them, and we can use, you know, who else would I be interested in? I would be interested in Médecins Sans Frontières and the Red Cross. I would be very interested to help the disaster. And let's not talk anymore about who else we want to help, but we could do, because once you start, the rest of the money will come anyway, and we need it now, so I can start giving some to Cool Earth. Even now, I want to start selling the playing cards, I want to start raising money and giving it to them even before the exhibition, you know, and then we'll add it all up, and by the time we have the exhibition, we will be on the way to raising all this money. And so Daniel's going to help me with all, and that's why he's part of Intellectuals Unite. So all I just leave you with now is to say that you've got to follow me, but you follow me by way of following Intellectuals Unite. You kind of join it online, if you see what I mean. You've got to look at it and follow me that way and get all the information by actively making the effort yourselves to do it all and to read the books. Yeah, so happy Christmas. Bye.